Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we plunge into the heart of complex stories, extracting the crucial details and surprising facts that help you truly understand what's unfolding in our world. Today, our focus takes us to a corner of India, a place that, on the surface, might seem far removed from the headlines. Seoni, a district nestled in the lush, quiet forests of Madhya Pradesh. It's a region renowned for its tranquil landscapes, its vibrant tiger reserves. Life unfolds at a different pace there.
Or so it seemed.
Exactly, because in the summer of 2025, that tranquility was brutally shattered. Seoni was thrust into the national spotlight.
And not for its tigers this time.
No, not for tigers or some big development project. It was the shocking revelation of a staggering scam.
Yeah.
And this wasn't a violent crime in the traditional sense. No dramatic chase scenes, no explosions.
No, nothing like that. It was quieter. More insidious, maybe.
Right. A deeply sophisticated, incredibly insidious white-collar operation, one that mercilessly leveraged the very systems designed to support the most vulnerable citizens.
The safety nets themselves.
We're talking about a meticulously orchestrated racket involving fabricating deaths. Yes, you heard that right. Fake deaths.
Specifically, snakebite and lightning strikes.
To siphon off government funds, our mission for this deep dive is to unpack the precise how and why behind this monumental fraud.
It's a huge amount of money we're talking about.
An estimated euro 11.26 crore, that's roughly 1.35 million US dollars, systematically siphoned from critical public welfare funds.
Just staggering for a district like Seoni.
And this story is more than just theft. It's really an exploration of the deep, unsettling cracks in rural governance and accountability, how the scheme flourished, weaponizing loopholes.
With devastating consequences.
Absolutely, for the most marginalized citizens. So let's begin to unpack this complex web.
And what immediately strikes you, I think, what's truly fascinating here, is the sheer audacity.
Right.
And the systemic nature of it all. It impacts lives and trust far beyond just the stolen funds.
Yeah, the ripple effects must be huge.
When you consider a sum like 11.26 crore, that's over 110 million Indian rupees, in the context of a remote, largely agricultural district like Seoni, well, it's astronomical.
It's hard to even picture that amount in that context.
Exactly. These are funds earmarked for essential services, for genuine relief, desperately needed by legitimate beneficiaries just struggling to survive.
And the core mechanism, as you said, faking deaths by snakebite and lightning strikes.
It's particularly disturbing. These aren't random causes. They are specific categories for government compensation.
Why those specific causes?
Because, tragically, they're common in rural India, especially forested areas like Seoni.
Ah, okay, so they're real risks.
Very real risks. They have an immediate, devastating impact on families, often taking away the primary earner.
So the compensation is meant to be a lifeline.
Precisely. But this wasn't just opportunistic theft. It was a crime that directly targeted and exploited the identities and potential tragedies of the most vulnerable.
It twisted the whole purpose of the safety net.
Completely. Turned compassionate intent into an instrument of deception, causing massive social financial damage, and just eroding that fundamental trust people have in government support.
Okay, so to really grasp the brazenness, the chilling scale of this, we need to understand the setting. Seoni itself.
Yeah, the context is crucial.
It's in central Madhya Pradesh, predominantly tribal. Beautiful landscape, dense forests, tiger reserves like Pench and Kanha, draws tourists.
Right, that's the image many people have.
But beneath that picturesque surface lies a stark economic reality. And that reality, unfortunately, made its population uniquely susceptible to this kind of exploitation.
Also,
We're talking pervasive, high levels of poverty, woven into daily life, basic infrastructure, especially healthcare, severely underdeveloped.
so access to even basic medical care is a struggle.
A monumental challenge for many families. Long journeys, unaffordable costs. Educational opportunities are also limited.
Which means low awareness, maybe about government schemes, financial literacy.
Exactly. The economy is largely agrarian subsistence farming, daily wage work. Imagine your livelihood depending entirely on the monsoon or finding work day to day.
It's incredibly precarious.
It really is. One unexpected event, illness, crop failure, a natural calamity, can just plunge a family into debt or destitution.
So in that environment,
Government welfare schemes become absolute lifelines. Not just benefits, but the only hope sometimes to cope with loss, afford medical care, or just survive. And this stark contrast, the natural beauty versus the human struggle, it really sets the stage for how this exploitation could take root.
That deep reliance on the programs became their greatest vulnerability. It's ironic, really.
It is.
And this is exactly where those systemic vulnerabilities, the cracks, become glaringly apparent. The government knew about the harsh realities, the natural hazards.
So they set up compensation packages.
Right, specific packages as a safety net. For lightning strikes, families could get between 4 lakhs and near lakh per victim.
That's a significant amount.
Huge. And for snakebite deaths, also tragically common there, it was around 4 lakh.
And these weren't just random handouts.
No, they were part of disaster relief programs, acknowledging the unique risks in areas like Seoni, intended as a vital lifeline, a compassionate gesture for families coping with sudden loss.
But there's always a but, isn't there?
There is.
Yeah.
And this is the critical flaw the scamsters exploited. These schemes were poorly monitored.
Poorly monitored. What does that mean exactly in practice?
It signifies a fundamental breakdown in accountability. The process involved a series of gatekeepers, local officials with immense discretionary power.
Okay, who are we talking about?
Local doctors, certifying the cause of death. Revenue officers, issuing the official death certificates. Panchayat officials, involved in local verification.
So these people basically controlled the flow of funds.
They were the choke points. And this systemic opacity, manual processes, minimal checks, officials acting with unchecked authority, created the perfect fertile ground for corruption.
It turned a system meant to help into a goldmine for fraud.
Precisely. And it's not just that it was poorly monitored, but how the power dynamics in remote rural areas work. Local officials are often the only contact point for government services.
Holding immense influence.
Exactly. They become unchecked authorities. In a world moving towards digital, a manual, opaque system isn't just inefficient.
It's an invitation for corruption.
A direct invitation. It lets these intermediaries dictate who gets aid, or chillingly who doesn't. That's how a compassionate system gets so devastatingly perverted.
Or, like any big deception, eventually the cracks start to show. Always. And the Seoni scams exposure really owes a lot to a vigilant district magistrate back in 2023-24.
Someone was paying attention.
Someone with a keen eye for patterns. Noticed significant irregularities in the official records, not just clerical errors, glaring red flags.
What kind of flags?
First, an abnormally high number of reported deaths from snakebite and lightning strikes.
Like way above the average.
Way, way above the state average. I mean, imagine seeing that spike in just those specific causes in one district. It screams something's wrong.
Yeah, that alone is suspicious.
But it got worse. A very specific, unsettling pattern emerged. Many victims were from the same villages, and in some cases, alarmingly, even the same families.
Whoa, the same families?
Yes! That kind of clustering defies statistical probability for natural events.
Absolutely. Lightning doesn't usually target specific families repeatedly.
And then the procedural shortcuts. Many death certificates were issued within 24 hours, bypassing the usual verification processes.
That's incredibly fast for a death certificate. Usually there are checks.
Right. For such a critical document, that speed without proper due diligence should have set off alarms immediately.
So what did the administration do?
To their credit, they didn't go public right away. They quietly, methodically began cross-checking these suspicious records against land records, voter lists, and crucially, ground realities, sending out discrete verification teams.
And those quiet checks, what do they find?
Chilling stuff, frankly. It laid bare the depth of the deception. First, and maybe most shocking, several dead individuals were found alive.
Alive?
Alive. Picture officials going to a village to verify a death and finding the deceased person alive and well, completely unaware he were officially dead and someone had collected money.
That's surreal.
And it wasn't a one-off mistake. It was a recurring pattern.
What else?
Other cases where people had actually died, but from natural causes, old age, illness, their certificates were forged to show snakebite or lightning.
Deliberate manipulation of actual deaths.
Exactly. Showing a sophisticated understanding of the system's weaknesses.
And it gets even worse, doesn't it?
Even more alarming, yes.
Yeah.
The most cynical part. Some death certificates were completely fabricated. The person never existed.
They just invented people.
Created fictitious identities out of thin air.
Yeah.
Fake names, ages, causes of death, all just to claim funds.
It's industrial scale forgery.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you take all these discrepancies together, the living dead, the recategorized natural deaths, the non-existent victims. It paints a very clear picture.
A very disturbing picture. This wasn't random opportunism. The patterns, the systematic forgeries. It hinted at a well-organized nexus involving multiple levels of the local bureaucracy.
It had to be orchestrated.
Undeniably. A complex criminal enterprise woven deep into the local administration, designed to exploit every weak link. A conspiracy, not just individual greed.
Okay, so the red flags are there. The dead are alive. Lightning is wiping out entire families, statistically impossibly. How did they actually do it? What were the mechanics?
Yeah, how did this operate step by step for so long? What investigators found was, I suppose, deceptively simple in concept, but terrifyingly sophisticated in execution.
So how did they pick their targets?
They had a clear, chillingly efficient strategy. They focused on poor or illiterate families who would not question paperwork.
Ah, exploiting vulnerability again.
Exactly. In a region with scarce education, high reliance on local officials. These families were easy to manipulate. They lacked the means, the knowledge, the awareness to check complex government documents.
They wouldn't understand the process.
Or even the amount they were supposed to get. Imagine a grieving family, approached by someone seemingly official, told they qualify for funds. Just sign here or put your thumbprint here.
And they wouldn't question it.
The details would be lost.
A shame.
Unquestioned. Unseen.
Was there another way they found targets?
Alternatively, and maybe even more chillingly, they used the identities of deceased villagers whose deaths were unrelated to snake bites or lightning.
Stealing the identities of people who had actually died.
Yes, a particularly cruel twist. Preying on recent, genuine loss. A family grieves, assumes it's over. Meanwhile, their loved one's name is resurrected on paper, death reattributed, all for illicit gain without their knowledge.
That's profoundly disturbing. It's not just greed, it's a complete lack of empathy.
A profound moral bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Exploiting grief itself. The psychological manipulation is intense, preying on vulnerability, lack of awareness, the trust in rural communities.
It really speaks volumes about their willingness to exploit anything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So once they had these targets, the next crucial step was forging the paperwork, the backbone of the scam.
This is where the corruption comes in.
Deep-seated, institutionalized corruption. The first critical link. Local doctors, often bribed.
Doctors, their role was pivotal.
Absolutely pivotal. They'd issue fraudulent medical certificates certifying death by snakebite or lightning, knowing it wasn't true. Without that initial medical certification, the claim couldn't even start.
A complete breach of ethics.
A profound breach, turning healers into enablers of crime.
Okay, so the doctors provide the fake cause of death. Then what?
Then it moved to the next level. Revenue officers then issued forged death certificates.
The official government record.
Exactly. Carrying immense legal weight. Falsifying these is a severe abuse of power, undermining public record integrity. Their complicity made the fake cause of death look legitimate within the government's own system.
So the corruption was right at the start of the process, where verification should happen.
Right at the points of entry. It shows how easily professional integrity can be compromised. Creates a cascading effect of fraud. Very hard to spot from outside. The whole record-keeping system was undermined.
Okay, so now they have these official documents, fake death certificate, falsified medical report. What's next? The money.
Now the money starts moving. With what looked like legitimate documents, applications for government compensation were submitted under those disaster relief schemes.
The ones designed to help people in genuine need.
Ironically, yes. The scam was clever in targeting these specific schemes because the payouts were substantial.
The incentive was huge.
Immense. Each fake death successfully processed fetched 4 lakh to 8 lakh for lightning, around 4 lakh for snakebite.
And for families there, 4 lakh is
Several years' income, maybe even a decade's worth for some. Now multiply that by dozens, hundreds of claims.
It's not petty theft, it's industrial scale.
A high-stakes, high-reward operation. Leveraging welfare programs as a direct pipeline for cash. The administrative process meant for relief was hijacked, turned into a money laundering machine for the perpetrators, right under the authorities' noses.
Incredible.
And that brings us to the final phase, disbursement and dividing the spoils, where the financial mechanics of this nexus really kick in.
So the money gets approved. Where does it go?
Not to the real beneficiaries, obviously. It was systematically credited to bank accounts controlled by the perpetrators.
Their own accounts or proxies?
Likely proxies mostly.
Hmm.
Distant relatives, fictitious persons.
Yeah.
Accounts set up specifically to obscure the money trail, layering the accounts to make tracing difficult.
And once the money landed,
The loot was divided among the network officials, middlemen, and sometimes even family members of the deceased who agreed to cooperate.
family members cooperated?
Sometimes, yes.
Yeah.
That's particularly damning. Shows a broad, multi-layered conspiracy. It wasn't just a few bad apples. It was truly a nexus.
That word keeps coming up. Nexus.
Yeah. It's key. It describes this complex, interconnected group, each member playing a specific role enabling the next step. Doctor enables revenue officer, enables bank insider.
A chain of complicity.
Exactly, making it incredibly hard to break from the outside, turning the whole system into a well-oiled machine for fraud. It raises that question, doesn't it?
How many people does it take?
For a system meant to help to turn into a criminal enterprise, where the very people running it are actively dismantling it for profit.
And the answer in Seoni
Was a chilling, multi-level collaboration, a web corrupting every layer it touched.
Okay, so the mechanics are clear. Investigators then had to follow the money, and that's when the true scale hit home.
That's when the numbers became undeniable. The sheer, staggering scale, the true financial toll.
How much are we talking again?
In just 2 years, over all 11.26 crore have been dispersed under fraudulent claims.
11 crore rupees, over $1.3 million stolen directly from welfare funds.
It wasn't a trickle, it was a flood, systematically diverted.
And the human impact behind that number.
Equally shocking. More than 150 deaths were flagged as suspicious. 150 instances where tragedy, real or fake, was coldly monetized.
Each one representing a stolen identity or a fabricated life.
Exactly. And then there was that detail that just defies logic.
The lightning strikes?
Yes. Some villages reported lightning strikes killing entire families.
Which is statistically impossible.
Practically impossible. Isolated lightning deaths happen, tragically. But entire families wiped out by single strikes multiple times in one area. It's absurd.
And yet the claims went through.
Somehow they were rubber-stamped. The absurdity highlights the perpetrators' brazenness. They thought they could invent scenarios so improbable they'd pass unnoticed.
Which suggests incredible complacency, or worse, in the oversight.
It really does.
Yeah.
It wasn't just incompetence, it was calculated fraud bordering on the surreal. And horrifyingly, it worked for far too long.
And the banks played a role in this, working for so long.
A critical, enabling role. When investigators dug into the money flow, bank records revealed multiple compensation payments being routed to the same set of accounts.
The proxy accounts, right.
Sometimes in the names of distant relatives or fictitious persons. This pattern, multiple large payments, lakhs of rupees each time, flowing into a few accounts linked to people with no clear connection to the victims that should have triggered alarms.
Banks have anti-fraud systems for this, don't they?
They do. Robust mechanisms, algorithms, compliance departments, designed specifically to flag unusual patterns like this. High-value transfers deviating from normal activity.
But the flags were ignored or bypassed.
That's the profound concern.
Oh.
It seems they were, which leads to the analysis of complicity within the banking sector.
What did the investigation find there?
The source states clearly, the role of bank officials was crucial. Without their cooperation, multiple high-value transfers to suspicious accounts would have raised red flags earlier.
So not just negligence, active cooperation.
It strongly implies active collaboration, or at least deliberately turning a blind eye. Officials facilitating transfers without due diligence or bypassing internal controls, they became an indispensable part of the network.
So the corruption went beyond local admin and doctors,
Yeah,
right into the financial system.
exactly. Into the very systems meant to be a safeguard. It highlights how the integrity of the entire financial ecosystem can be compromised when those inside prioritize personal gain.
A deep systemic failure. The protectors became conduits for theft.
Precisely.
Okay, the numbers are staggering, 11 crore, 150 deaths. But we need to shift focus. Beyond the figures, what was the real human impact?
Absolutely crucial. Because while the money was stolen from the government, the real victims were the rural poor of Seoni.
The people the schemes were meant for.
The genuine victims of actual snake bites and lightning strikes. Lives already shattered by tragedy, by sudden loss.
And when they went to claim compensation.
In their grief and desperate need, they often found their claims delayed or rejected as funds were being siphoned off.
Imagine that. Grieving, desperate, reaching for the safety net.
Only to be stonewalled, told the money isn't there, or worse, it's already been claimed. Stolen in their name or a phantom victim's name.
The cruelty is hard to fathom. What were the consequences?
Catastrophic. Families losing sole breadwinners left destitute. Facing impossible choices. Unable to pay medical bills incurred trying to save a life or for trauma care.
And unable to support their children.
Painfully, yes. Kids dropping out of school, forced into work, often exploitative conditions, perpetuating that cycle of poverty.
It's not just financial ruin then.
No, there was deeper damage. The erosion of trust. Villagers became fearful and distrustful of local officials,
The very people supposed to help them.
had become agents of their suffering. This fear, this betrayal, further isolated them, made them hesitant to access legitimate schemes later, a betrayal striking at the heart of community trust, the social contract.
Is there a specific story that illustrates this?
There is one particularly heart-wrenching anecdote. It involved a tribal woman who lost her husband to an actual lightning strike.
A real tragedy, a genuine loss.
Undeniable. In her grief and need, she followed the process, gathered documents, went to claim the compensation rightfully hers. The money designed for exactly this situation.
And what happened?
She was met with a response that, well, must have felt like another lightning strike. She was told, chillingly, your husband's death has already been settled.
No.
Imagine her shock, her disbelief, confronted with the reality that someone, some faceless part of this network, had stolen her tragedy and monetized it.
They stole her grief.
Her personal grief, her legitimate claim hijacked,
Yeah.
reduced to a transaction. And the system meant to be her safety net became an instrument of theft and despair run by its supposed custodians.
That just leaves you speechless.
And it leaves us with that profound question. What does it mean for society when the systems designed to provide that safety net become instruments of theft and despair?
It's a chilling thought, a complete breakdown of trust, a deep moral failing. How do you even begin to rebuild that faith?
Exactly. And the rebuilding process, the official response, that's what we need to look at next. Because the exposure forced action, but faced its own challenges. #tag6, the crackdown and its challenges.
So the evidence piles up, it's irrefutable. What was the administration's response?
They didn't waste time. A massive crackdown was launched. A decisive shift from quiet investigation to public action.
What did that involve first?
Formation of a special investigation team, SIT. Not just local police, a multidisciplinary unit.
Who is on the team?
Revenue officials, who knew the records inside out. Forensic experts for analyzing documents, digital trails. And police for arrests, interrogations, legal proceedings. A comprehensive approach for a complex crime.
Did they make arrests quickly?
Yes, the immediate consequences were swift.
Yeah.
Several doctors, revenue officers, and panchayat secretaries were arrested.
The core gatekeepers.
Exactly. Linchpins of the network. Their arrest sent a clear message. Simultaneously, bank accounts used for fraudulent transactions were frozen, cutting off the money flow.
Did they do anything else to uncover more cases?
They employed a crucial tactic, a public verification drive.
Going directly to the community.
Yes, bypassing compromised officials. Villagers were actively asked to confirm if their family members had indeed died from the causes listed, or if they'd received compensation.
Using community knowledge.
And it was incredibly effective. This move alone unraveled dozens more fake cases. People came forward, shocked, or finally emboldened. It showed the true scale by tapping into collective experience.
But even with this crackdown, there were hurdles.
Significant, deeply entrenched hurdles, revealing those complex social dynamics and power imbalances.
Like what?
One primary difficulty, fear. Many victims feared retaliation from local power brokers.
Not just officials, but influential local figures.
Right, people with economic or social sway, maybe even criminal connections. Their power influences daily life access to resources, social standing. Coming forward against them could mean ostracization, hardship, even harm.
Silent intimidation.
Often more potent than overt threats. And there was resistance from another quarter, too. Some families who had cooperated with the scamsters were unwilling to come forward.
The ones who maybe got a small cut or were coerced.
Exactly. A darker, more complex aspect. While many were purely exploited, some might have been manipulated or offered a small share for silence or cooperation. Poor, desperate, maybe saw a chance for a small illegal payout.
So coming forward meant admitting their own involvement.
And risking legal repercussions themselves. This web of fear, coercion, complicity created huge barriers to justice, made it hard to unravel the entire network, hold everyone accountable.
It shows how these systems create a climate of fear that persists even after exposure.
Making transparency and full accountability incredibly difficult.
So the Seoni fraud wasn't just about individual greed, right? It pointed to deeper systemic weaknesses.
Absolutely. It was a symptom. Individual greed was a driver, sure, but the system itself enabled it.
What were the core vulnerabilities?
One major one, especially now, was the lack of digital verification. In an era moving digital, death registrations and compensation claims were largely manual.
Paper-based.
Think physical paperwork, handwritten entries, rubber stamps, signatures on forms. Inherently lacks the integrity, traceability, cross-referencing of digital systems.
No automated checks, no audit trails.
Not easily accessible ones. So a single corrupt individual with a fake stamp or practice signature could bypass oversight without immediate detection. Forgery wasn't just easy, it was almost untraceable within the system.
And another vulnerability.
Poor awareness among beneficiaries. In a district like Seoni, high illiteracy. Illiterate families often didn't know the exact compensation they were entitled to.
Making them easy targets.
Incredibly easy. Told they get less than they were due. Coerced into signing things they didn't understand. Unwitting accomplices sometimes.
Completely dependent on the word of local officials.
Who were often the ones running the scam. So these two factors, a manual system prone to forgery and a population unaware of its rights, created a perfect storm. Tools of deception readily available, targets ill-equipped to defend themselves.
And what truly enabled it all?
The pervasive corruption at multiple levels, creating an almost impenetrable fortress of collusion. The system just breaks down when doctors, revenue officers, and bankers collude because oversight becomes nearly impossible.
The checks and balances fail.
Completely. Medical officer certifies, revenue officer validates, bank official pays. Each is meant to be a check. But if they're all working together,
The whole system is compromised, the nexus again.
it's not isolated corruption, it's interconnected, each part facilitating the other's illicit activities. A self-sustaining system of deception.
Was there another major systemic flaw?
A glaring one. The no post-audit mechanism.
No checks after the money was paid out?
Unbelievably no. Once compensation was disbursed, there was no system to verify whether the claims were genuine. Money went out. End of accountability. No follow-up, no random checks, no visits to confirm deaths.
That's a huge window for fraudsters.
Crucial. They knew once the money was in their accounts, the chance of detection was minimal. No one would knock on doors.
It's sobering how these seemingly minor flaws combine.
Like a perfect storm, manual system, low awareness, collusion, no post-audit, creates not just a crack, but a gaping hole for large-scale fraud.
Undetected for years.
It underscores the need for robust, interconnected systems, digital verification, proactive checks, and crucially consistent post-disbursement audits. Relying on isolated manual processes is, as Seoni showed, an open invitation. #Tag8 lessons learned and the road ahead.
So the Seoni scam, devastating as it was, served as a painful lesson. It prompted a statewide review.
A much-needed statewide review of disaster relief compensation mechanisms, yes. Authorities are now considering comprehensive reforms to prevent this happening again.
What kind of measures? Do they address the weaknesses?
They directly address the weaknesses exploited in Seoni, a concerted effort to plug those holes.
Like what, specifically?
First, a strong push for linking compensation claims to Aadhaar and digital death registration systems.
Using India's unique ID system.
Exactly. Aadhaar provides biometric and digital identity link, makes creating fake IDs or multiple claims very difficult. Digitizing death registrations creates a verifiable, immutable digital record, reduces forgery opportunities, speeds up legitimate claims.
What else?
Looking at video verification of postmortem reports and death sites.
Video evidence.
Imagine requiring video during postmortems showing the cause of death or at the scene of a lightning strike.
Yeah.
And visual proof, very hard to falsify. Directly tackles the fake causes of death issue.
Makes sense. Anything on the banking side?
Yes, a focus on stronger banking oversight to flag suspicious high-value transactions, putting the onus back on banks to be vigilant. Enhance algorithms to spot patterns, multiple large payments to few accounts, unusual beneficiaries, and flag them immediately.
And encouraging people to report fraud.
Crucially, yes. Considering whistleblower incentives to report fraud and welfare schemes, empowering citizens, and especially those within the system, who know about malpractices but fear coming forward.
Offering protection and incentives.
To turn potential bystanders into agents of accountability. Each proposal targets a specific vulnerability exploited in Seoni, aiming for a more secure, transparent, resilient system.
But these reforms, while vital, don't answer everything, do they? The case raises bigger questions.
Bigger, more uncomfortable questions about governance, accountability, the spirit of public service, far beyond Seoni. Like, how many other districts might be running similar scams undetected?
Yeah.
Seoni was exposed because of one vigilant official. How many other regions with similar vulnerabilities are being plundered right now?
That's a deeply unsettling thought.
It is. And the fundamental question, how do we ensure that funds meant for the poorest don't end up enriching corrupt officials? It's not just about tech or rules. It's about fostering a culture of integrity, ethics, accountability, a fundamental shift.
Where does the Seoni investigation stand now?
As of mid-2025, it's still ongoing. Complex, deep roots, several officials suspended, prosecutions underway.
Justice takes time.
In rural India, often justice moves slowly. Legal processes can be protracted, hampered by complexities, local pressures, overburdened courts, full recovery of funds, conviction of everyone involved. It's a lengthy challenge.
And for the victims, what's the fight about for them?
Not just recovering the money, though that's paramount for survival. More profoundly, it's about restoring faith in the system.
Rebuilding that shattered trust.
Trust that government programs are there to help, that officials work for their welfare, not against it. Can a system so deeply compromised truly rebuild trust without fundamental changes, not just in procedures, but in its ethical core?
That remains the ultimate challenge. #tag outro.
So the Seoni snakebite fraud, it's clearly much more than just a local story about corruption.
It really isn't an isolated incident, no.
It represents that larger malaise, doesn't it? The systematic exploitation of loopholes and welfare schemes designed to provide a safety net. We often get drawn to dramatic crimes, the visible stuff, blood, brutality. But this deep dive shows that some of the most devastating crimes are quiet, insidious.
Leveraging the system itself.
Exactly. Think about it. When a family, grieving, is denied compensation they desperately need, compensation stolen in their name.
It's not just a few rupees less.
No. It can trigger that devastating cycle: poverty, illness, despair, rippling through generations, kids pulled from school, illnesses becoming fatal, families in insurmountable debt, all because of a pen, a stamp, a corrupt signature.
Diverting life-saving funds.
So what does this all mean for us? I think it means recognizing that some of the most devastating crimes are committed not with guns and knives, but with pens, stamps, and signatures, and the power they hold over the vulnerable.
Yeah.
It's a stark reminder of how dependent people are on the integrity of systems designed to help them, and the profound lasting cost when that integrity is breached.
A profound cost indeed. It really challenges us to reflect on how we as a society value the lives of the marginalized and the critical importance of ensuring our safety nets are actual fortresses of support, not open invitations for exploitation.